We will be starting with the webinar within a few more minutes. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Nandini. Nandini.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Give me the right for sharing the screen.
Sure, sir. Sir, we have provided you with it. Could you please check it?
It says you can't start screen share.
Just a minute, sir.
Who is sharing this PPT?
Yes, Mansha, could you please stop screen sharing for a second? Okay, thank you so much.
Now let me try, right? Yes, now I can share. Yes, sir. I'm ready. You can start.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Yes, Nandini, please go ahead.
A very good morning to each and everyone present over here. Without big data analytics, companies are deaf and blind, wandering out onto the web like a deer on a freeway. With these words by Jeffrey Moore, I, Nandini, on behalf of Mohar, the Commerce Association of Janki Devi Memorial College, extend a very warm welcome to our respected principal ma'am, Professor Swati Pal, who due to some prior commitment could not join us today, our teacher in charge of the Commerce Department, Dr. Chanchal Chopra ma'am, and our honorable guest speaker for the day, Professor C.P. Gupta, along with all our teachers and students present over here. As a token of respect during these tough times, we would like to virtually present Sir and Ma'am with a bouquet of flowers. We welcome you all. Now, I would like to request the teacher in charge of the Commerce Department, Dr. Chanchal Chopra ma'am, to say a few words.
Thank you, Nandini. Good morning, everyone. It's my privilege and honor today to welcome Professor C.P. Gupta and you all to the webinar on data analysis with Excel, organized by Janki Devi Memorial College under the aegis of IQAC JDMC. No words would be sufficient to thank Professor C.P. Gupta to have spared his very valuable time to enlighten us on data analysis with Excel. It's a very privileged moment for all of us here to be with him this morning to learn about the fundamentals of statistical analysis. With the ocean of knowledge he makes an idol for all of us to follow his footsteps. I hope we are going to make our day today with the knowledge he is going to share with us. In today's complex world, it is becoming more and more difficult to make informed and intelligent decisions. In the presence of considerable uncertainty, these decisions have to be made with less than perfect knowledge because they are essential for our well-being. And the whole world economy is challenged by various problems continuously, like the very threatening coronavirus since 2019, Great Depression of 2008, rising inflation post-depression, cumbersome international taxation rules, environmental pollution, and ever-increasing unemployment and unpredictable interest rates. For the economic advisor, who must advise the Prime Minister to the small economic matters, or a salaried person or the entrepreneur, the decision making depends upon some statistical analysis. Business decisions like quality control, cost minimization, product and inventory mix, and matters relating to training programs can be managed effectively only by using proven statistical procedures. Evaluation of investment opportunities or launching a new product also requires some statistical analysis. Even during current COVID times, efficacy of new drugs or pharmaceutical procedures finds statisticals a helpful ally. An inability to apply statistics and other quantitative methods to many of our problems puts us at a stark disadvantage. When one gains some familiarity with the statistical analysis, he just marvels at the limitless ways statistics helps him in solving these problems, which may arise in a business setting or in our day-to-day life. As coronavirus has struck countries for the third year, the economic uncertainties have mounted yet again. Almost all the countries of the world are confronted with number of economic challenges like rising income inequalities, high levels of inflation, and huge debt levels. The rapid spread of the Omicron variant indicates that the pandemic will continue to disrupt economic activities this year and maybe next year too. The risk here has, the IMF has predicted the global growth to go down from 5.5% in 2021 to 4.1% in 2022 and 3.2% in 2023. Against this background, it has become very important to be able to decide what are the sectors in which the businesses can dream to fly high. With the government fiscal and monetary support for many sectors like pharmaceuticals, tourism and hospitality, and information technology, it is expected to have fruitful opportunities in the post-COVID era. Statistical analysis tools are going to help the policymakers, academia, and the business managers in making good predictions about their future plans. I'm very, very thankful to Professor C.P. Gupta, who is going to empower us with his knowledge today. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for such knowledgeable words. It is a pleasure and great honor for us to introduce the notable speaker for today, Dr. C.P. Gupta. Dr. C.P. Gupta is presently a senior professor in the Department of Finance and Business Economics, University of Delhi, and was the head of the department and the dean, Faculty of Commerce and Business, University of Delhi. He is MCom, MPhil in Finance, and PhD in Finance from Department of Commerce, Delhi School of Economics, University of Delhi. Before joining Department of Financial Studies, he has worked as a professor and area chairperson at the Management Development Institute, Gurgaon, for about 10 years. He had also worked as faculty in Sri Ram College of Commerce, University of Delhi, and School of Management Studies, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University. He has teaching and research experience of more than 40 years. He has contributed a number of research articles in various Indian and international journals and he has a few research-based books to his credit. He was the member of the expert group appointed by the Government of India to review cost accounting record rules and existing cost audit report rules. He was the chairman, Delhi School of Arts and Commerce, Delhi, and was the member of the governing body of SRCC and ex-chairman of Bharati College, University of Delhi. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Nandi.
Before we get started, if you have any questions during the session, please type them in the chat box. We'll bring them up one by one, and we will also have time for the questions at the end. I now invite Sir to please take the session forward.
Nandi, I want to make some change in the way you are suggesting the questions. Participants can put their questions anytime, and I'm seeing the chat box regularly. So I will definitely answer, not at the end, but during the session itself.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So
what we can do is we can ask them to raise hands and Nandini can pronounce their names so that they can ask the questions. Is that fine, sir?
Even I can see who are raising.
Okay. Right.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so friends, let's start, and very good morning to all of you.
Very good morning.
Nandi, my video is there?
Yes, sir. Your video is visible.
So again, a very good morning to friends, and let's start our session. And I really welcome all of you to the session on data analysis with Microsoft Excel. So that's what we are going to cover in this particular session of 3 hours. But let's start our day with God's blessings and with a lot of positive energy. That's very important. So, hello friends, never forget we have miles to go. It's just a beginning of the session, and maybe this session may prove to be a beginning. And don't forget, don't substitute for the hard work, and you don't sit, you have to go miles till you reach to your goal. Long way, still we have it. Namita, somebody is using whiteboard. Okay, so friends, don't forget, we have a long way to go, and this is just a beginning for all of us. So get a lot of positive energy to continue with our energy. Concentrate what we are discussing in these 3 hours and put your best. Only then you can, learn and learn for others as well as for yourself. So I hope all of you are ready with me, and organizers must have shared files with you. We'll be working on this files.
Okay. Sir, I have to share. I'll just put the link in the chat box now, because I thought during the break I have to share the files. I'm sorry, sir. Actually,
you can.
Okay, just a minute, sir. I'm just doing it.
Don't do that. Don't problem. But friends, before we start, let's have a look at the following picture. This is Professor Albert Einstein. What comes to mind when you see this kind of a picture? What he is hinting at? Nandini, you can answer, others can also respond in the chat box.
Sir, I think it's intelligence.
Okay. So intelligence and right way of the mind, right?
Yes, sir.
And what does it mean? Use it. That means whenever you are working with anything, first you have to be clear in your mind what exactly you want. And many times we face a problem. Students don't know what they want, and they come to us, say, "Sir, ye nahi ho raha," but problem is not doing something. Problem is we do not know what we want to do. If you do not know what you want, computer cannot do anything for you. You have to be clear in your mind what exactly you want, how you can do it. If unless and until you have that particular clarity, you cannot get the things done by any software, any computer. So you have to use your mind, make sure what you want, why you are collecting data, what for data is to be used, okay, how to be used. All those things should be clear in your mind. Only then you can get the, you can you can get the best result from your data and by using the statistical analysis. Analysis is an intellectual job, and you have to use your intellect, your mind for the same. So today we shall talk about how to use Excel for data analysis purpose, and this is full of challenges, and we shall be taking these challenges one by one. So our line of discussion.
So I have put the link to the files in the chat box.
Okay. So participants can download from that Google Drive. So our line of today's discussion will be, we will be trying to understand our data, and we have to arrange our data properly so that we can analyze it properly. Describe and summarizing the data. And of course, we will be talking about certain advanced tools for analysis purposes. And everything will be done in Excel. So we have to utilize the Excel, property or utilities. We have to understand our data. That's very, very important. So before we start with our agenda, think, what is the most important input for any research project? A lot of things are being said. People are saying that your upstairs is empty. So Vedangi, fill it up. Don't keep it empty. Presence of mind, good. Planning, good. Okay, great. Vedangi, please fill it up. So what is the most important input for any research project, whatever you are undertaking? And I hope many of you might be doing some project. And for that project, what is that they're looking forward? The most important input which you will find there. Dr. Nirja is saying data. Yes, absolutely right. It's the data that we need as an important input for any kind of project which we are doing. Without data, you cannot prove what you want to prove. Nobody will believe you unless and until you prove it with your data. And data is very, very important input. So what is our challenge? How to get best utilization of the data? Data contains a lot of information and we wish to use that information. We wish not to waste any piece of information that is contained in the data. So what we do with the data, processing the data for answering the research questions or the research issues with which we are confronting. So data provides necessary input which will process and get the results to answer our research questions or research issues. So what we expect that when you have data with you, you must know what are the research questions or the research issues you have in your mind for which you are looking for the answers. So you have data, you want what you should get to answer your research questions, and the issue is processing. And what you want from the data, that's the intellectual activity. And input is the data which you can gather either through primary sources or through secondary sources. And processing is the skill base, how to process your data. That depends upon your skill, your expertise in handling data and using softwares. So how do we process data? By using necessary statistical tools and softwares. That means you need two pieces of expertise. One, you should be aware of the proper, appropriate statistical tools required to process your data. And nothing can be done these days manually. Everything has to be done by using computer. And for that, you need a suitable software. So the software you want to use for implementing a statistical tool, that software you should be aware of and you should be comfortable with that software. So any data scientist we have should be comfortable with statistical tools and should be comfortable with necessary software. Okay, so these are the two things which we have to build up, and that's what we are going to discuss in this particular session. As a researcher, what is the first thing we should do with our data? We have to understand your data. In fact, I will say you have to become friendly with your data. You should be, thorough with your data. You should feel how your data is behaving. That kind of understanding is very, very important. But how to get that understanding? That's the challenge. So first challenge which I'm going to do is we have to understand our data, right? Okay, when we talk about data, we get four kinds of data: the nominal data, the ordinal data, the interval scale data, and the ratio scale data. Okay, anybody, what is nominal, ordinal, interval scale, ratio scale? What is nominal data? categorical data, right, Sushma?
Good.
It's a
Nominal,
categorical.
which just is used to make categories which have no meaning as such.
They are just labels.
Labels, yeah.
Okay, say for example, we take a, gender, male and female. So we put number 1 here. So we get the numbers, we get the data, but these data are just labels, nothing else. And when you have the label, you cannot do any kind of mathematical processing with this particular data. You cannot add them. 1 plus 2 will not make any sense. 1 minus 2 will not make any sense. You cannot add them, you cannot subtract them, you cannot multiply them. You cannot put them in any kind of hierarchy. They're just labels to understand the nature of the data, which is categorical data. Okay, so you must know what type of data in your sample is nominal data, and processing of the nominal data will be done altogether in a different way. Then we have ordinal data, which gives me hierarchy. I can rank them either in ascending or descending order, but still no mathematical operations are possible. Yes, order can be determined like good, better, bad. Yes, Necha, Kanishka, all of you are right. So if somebody is giving ranks to the students, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the basis of marks. So I can say ranker 1 at the highest mark, then 2, then 3, then 4. I cannot say rank 1 plus rank 2 will be equal to 3. I cannot say anything like that. Okay. So no mathematical operations can be done with the ordinal data, except you can put them in order, put them in hierarchical structure, where you can put them in ascending and descending order, like good, bad, and better, whatever you say. These are the examples of the ordinal data. So you should be clear in your data what part of data is your ordinal data, because for ordinal data we have different kinds of tools for processing. Then we have interval scale data and ratio scale data. Interval scale data is like ordinary number, except it has no absolute zero. Now, what does it mean? It doesn't have an absolute zero. So, for example, if I say 0 time, what does it mean? Interval scale can be 0, but that 0 will not have any meaning. Yes, Nitya, no absolute zero, right? Absolutely right. Difference in temperature measured in degrees centigrade and Fahrenheit. So temperature, which is measured in centigrade and Fahrenheit, they don't have any absolute zero. 0 Fahrenheit doesn't mean that it has no heat. It has some heat, but that's arbitrarily defined 0. 0 centigrade, arbitrarily defined 0. It's not an absolute. Absolute 0 means nothing. If you say 0 marks, no marks. If you say I have 0 money in my pocket, no money in your pocket. But that kind of interpretation you cannot have with the interval scale data. Ratio scale data is having 1 is 1, which is having, absolute 0. 0 means 0, nothing. That's the interpretation of it. The mathematical operations with interval scale data and the ratio scale data can be done in similar manner. And therefore, you will find we normally call them as scale data. So for processing purposes, we divide our data into three categories: nominal, ordinal, and scale. Scale is one where you can perform all kinds of mathematical operations. Nominal, no mathematical operations. Ordinal, you can put them in a hierarchy, but you cannot perform mathematical operations in that. What kind of data we have here? Any one of you? What is this occupation? Is it nominal, ordinal, scale data? Right. Nominal. Absolutely right. And this income data? Ratio. Kanishka is saying ratio. Ratio. Monica, Seni, ratio. Evangeline is right when she said it's a ordinal data. It's an ordinal data. I can put them in a hierarchy, 0 to 5 lakhs. Respondents in the range of 0 to 5 lakhs. And people who are in, say, 10 to 30 lakhs. I can say with definiteness that those who are in the range of 10 to 30, they definitely have more income as compared to the people who are in the range of 0 to 5. But how much more, I cannot say that. I can only put them in hierarchical order. I can say this man is getting higher salary or higher income as compared to this one. How much higher, how many times, those questions I cannot answer with this data. So this is my ordinal data. Yes, Swati. Ishika, it's not ratio and interval scale. It's not a scale data. It's ordinal data. Okay. Our next challenge is how to prepare our data ready for further analysis. And in that regard, look at this. What do you say about this data? Can you process this data as it is? That's my question. Swati is saying ordinal. Monica is saying we cannot process them as it is. I'm not asking what is the nature of the data. It's ordinal data. Definitely it's ordinal data, no problem with it. But the question is, if you put these string data in software, do you think the software will do the necessary processing for you? Shika, we are not using directly. So Shika, what should we do in that case? I cannot use characters, strings for statistical processing. I cannot do that. So the challenge is all these have to be converted into numeric. So you have to develop suitable codes so that you can convert your string data into numeric data. Udit is saying we can know how many persons are agreeing or not agreeing. That we can calculate. Frequency distribution I can calculate. But my story doesn't stop here. Once you get the frequency distribution, what next? Maybe you would like to know that Is there any association between the age group of the people and those who are agreed? That is something which you would like to know. You will also like to find out whether that degree of agreement is different from different categories of the people. For further processing, you may not be able to process data in string terms. It has to be numeric. So we have to convert our string data into numeric data. So our challenge is how to convert numeric string data into numeric data, of course, smartly using Excel. This is not something new. You people must be aware of it. You might be doing it, but how to do it smartly? That's my question. Can any one of you suggest how can we convert our string data into, numeric data quickly and smartly? So we have the question like this: strongly agree monthly expenditure, and we want to have its numeric code, and we want to do it quickly, smartly, without taking much time. Komal is saying we cannot process this data mathematically, but we can make a judgment. But that's not a judgment. That we cannot make intelligent judgment unless and until we do the full processing of our data. So Udit is saying it's a scale 1 to 5. So it's like Likert scale, agree, no problem with it. But when we prepare our data for processing purposes, it has to be converted into numeric data, assign the code. So we have to assign the code 1 to 5, but how to do it quickly, that's the challenge. Okay, so what are the challenges? How do we know we have only 1 to 5 categories of responses here? Okay, how many categories are there? I don't know. Less than 10%, less than 10%, less than 10%, 20% to 30%. I don't know how many categories are there. Data is so huge, I'm not be able to find it out. So what's the challenge before me? One, how to know how many categories. Second, how to convert them into numeric. These are the two things which I'm supposed to do. For this, to know immediately and quickly how many categories we have, I will be using pivot table, utility of Excel, and how to convert them into numeric. For this, I will be using VLOOKUP utility. And yes, Bhavna, you are absolutely right. By using pivot table, we can find it out. How to find it out? Let's see. Let's do this exercise and see how we can do that. So I increase my so I go to insert pivot table and from table range. So go to insert and pivot table. And then I pick question number 1 in the row. I come to know that there are 5 categories here. I copy here, I go to this. So there are 2 challenges: how to know how many strings are to be converted into numeric. For that, we are going to use the pivot table, and how to convert them into numeric, we are using VLOOKUP. So we found that there are 5 categories. So I put them here. And we have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, in fact, there are 6 categories here. They've used agree, disagree, neutral, slightly agree, slightly disagree, strongly disagree. Shivani is saying, repeat it. I don't know what Shivani, what you are asking to repeat. You go to insert, pivot table, right? Then I'm taking question number 1, take it to the row, done. So I take here, sorry.
Aí tu Bauli.
So we use VLOOKUP. Right? Now I have a problem here. The problem is I do not know what arguments I have to put in this particular VLOOKUP function. And to get that arguments, to know what arguments, what input I have to give in this data. So I suggest is once you are ready with it, you can press Shift F3 to come out with the solution. To activate the window, which is called the function argument window. And then lookup value is my, sorry, I have to start with 1. We look up shift function F3 to activate your function window. My lookup value is this one. From where I'm looking up this value, I'm looking up the value from here. And since I'm using this data for all these cells, I have to freeze it by pressing F4 key, putting the $sign here. Then, what is the index number? What from the table array, which column data I have to read. I have to read the second column where it has numeric values. So I put the second column, and to get the exact match, you have to put false or 0, and then you say, okay. That's what we get. Then you copy, and it is converted into numeric numbers. So I tell you what I did. We look up the value which we are seeing, for which we are looking up the value. That's my here B2, and the data from where I'm looking up the value, the address of that particular table, and then in this table, this is the second column. So I have to write the table address, from I'm picking up the value, second column, 0 for exact match, and 1 for approximate match. But we are looking for exact match, so we have to write 0 in that case. And that's what we do. Anuradha Goel is saying 2, I don't know, 2 false. Manya is asking how we have look up this. You type equal to we look up bracket. Once you have put this bracket, after that, press Shift plus F3. And this is applicable for all functions. And all functions argument window will be open up, and you can find out what input has to be put, where it has to be put. Okay. I repeat the process for monthly expenditure quote. I've already put the pivot table. So now I have to drag, just push it monthly. Monthly expenditure here. So I have 6 categories here. I just copy from here. I just paste it here. And I give number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I can use again VLOOKUP to convert these numbers to VLOOKUP and I'm looking up this one. I don't do that. We look up, Shift F3. What is my lookup value? This is the lookup value I'm looking at. And the table array is, this is the table from where I will be looking at the values. Since I will be using it for all cells, so I freeze it by pressing F4. Then index column is 2, false, 0. And then you just, and that's what we get. So Ashi, which table you are trying to find, ask me to do? Insert, pivot table. Simple insert, pivot table, and that's how you got it. And whatever you want, you drag it and drop it either in the row or column, wherever you want to see it, and you will get the result. Okay. Let's do one more exercise here, so that you all get, I do not know how many occupations before pandemic was there. This is the people, engagement in different occupations before pandemic. So I have to give them code. I do not know how many categories are there. So what I do, I go to insert, pivot table, then these are the categories for which I have to put a code. So I go here. And then I just write 1 and 2 track. Oh my God. There are 26 categories of the profession in my data. Manisha, are you there?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Manisha, तुम्हारा डेटा है?
मेरा सर हाँ यस सर लग तो रहा है सर हमारा ही है.
And how to convert them into numbers? Okay, so quickly I want to convert this into numbers.
Okay.
So employee, okay, occupation code, right? So simple VLOOKUP. To activate a function argument key, so Shift F3. What is the value I'm looking up? This is the value I'm looking up. The table array from where I'm looking up the value is this one. And since I'm going to copy this formula to all these cells, so I have to freeze this address of the table. The required input data is in column 2, 0. Okay. Right. Now you see how quickly you are able to convert your string variables into numeric variables. And these are the codes which you have used. Like this, you can convert other also. No problem in it.
So
Okay.
sorry, sir. So my question is in our research, I mean, what is the use of this coding for the categories?
Because
If we want to draw an interpretation,
it will help you in further processing. Because many software don't accept at all the characters or the string variables. But numeric variables are accepted by all.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So Madhu and mine study, I mean, that was on consumption behavior and different categories. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Thank you.
So I said for this, we are going to use two utilities, pivot table and VLOOKUP. Any question before we go ahead? Anyone?
So
Any question?
actually, all these files have been numbered. So when you are using them, so you can just tell me the file and I'll just say the number because they have been numbered in the link which I've shared with everyone.
Okay. Once your data is ready, then we have to summarize your data, visualize and describe your data. How to do it, that is something which we have to understand. For that, you have to make tables, you have to make graphs, and then understand the behavior of the data. That's important for us. And I tell you, Excel is a very powerful utility, which we have already used, the pivot, which can help you in making tables and graphs quickly, and that too without writing any formula, just drag and drop, just drag and drop, nothing else. How do we do it? Let's go to Excel. There is a file for descriptives and graphs.
Data set for.
Okay, let me take simple data, right? There is a sheet with the name of wage data. बोलिए क्या क्या चाहते हो आप लोग? What you are looking forward? First, frequency table. 2, bar chart of frequency table. Suppose I want these two quickly of this particular data, which is the wage data. So what I do is I go to insert, pivot table, and this is my data. I want data to be in the existing sheet. That's what we get. Okay. So drag wage into rows. You get so many values in this table, but that's of no purpose to me, no use of me. So what I do is I right click, group. Minimum value is 0.53, maximum is 25. So what I do is I start with 0, taking it to say 30, taking the class interval of 5. My minimum is 0.53, all are in thousands, and maximum was 25. So just to, on the safer side, I take the highest class frequency, highest class value 30, and I'm saying Excel that make class interval of 5, take class interval of 5. Then you say okay. Right. So we don't have we got the groups, but we don't get the frequencies. And so I want frequency here. So I take it here, count of each data. So now you can see. Quickly, you are able to get your frequency distribution without much efforts. 526 is my total respondent, and each one is coming in this particular category. I want to make a बोले पाई चार्ट चाहिए, ग्राफ चाहिए, बार चार्ट चाहिए, क्या चाहिए? So go to table. Then analyze. In analyze, you will find an option, pivot chart, on your right top. Okay, Bhagya is saying bar chart. Okay, let's take bar chart. That's my bar chart. And you can copy from here. You can, format your data series. You can have fill. You can do all kind of, cosmetic changes in it. That's your choice. Right? So you can copy the table from here, paste wherever you want. You can copy the bar chart wherever you want. Okay, if you don't want bar chart, suppose you want a pie chart, so change chart type, make it pie, and that's your pie chart. You can add labels to it. That's your data labels. I mean, without taking much time, you can prepare your tables and your graphs. Okay. I want mean and standard deviation of my wage data. थोड़ी देर में कॉल करूंगा तुम्हें. I don't want, I want the mean average, mean of wage, standard deviation of wage, minimum, maximum, all those data I need. I just deleted. So right. So instead of I take back, take wage data value, right? It's giving me count. I want count. Take it again. I want average. So do you say this small, this one? It shows there is a drop box. In this drop box, you pick up value field setting and you say average. You get the average wages. If you want a standard deviation, put it again. Click on it, value setting, find out the standard deviation. So quickly you can get, and I'm not writing any formula, just selecting a particular option and I get the results. Okay. Right. So we have marks of, okay, right, age and gender. I make the pivot table of it, insert pivot table. Okay. What is that you would like to know from this particular data? Anyone? Give me 2-3 things. We will do that. Quick. I would like to have the frequency distribution.
Sir, average marks of
Hello.
class and of boys and girls separately.
Okay. Class and
And boys and girls separately also, like 3 averages marks
okay.
of a class and of a boys of girls.
Okay. What else? Okay. So let's do quickly all those things here. So first I take students, count of the students. So there are 12 boy students and 19 girls students. And if you don't want to see this blank, you can untick blank. And you can make a graph of it. Analyze and pivot chart. That's the graph we get. Then I want to know what is the average marks of boys and girls in mathematics. This is giving me some, but I don't want some. I want average. Click here. These are the average marks in maths, computer science, computer science. Yes, Noor, anything else you want?
So can we make like graph of these also?
Yes, you can. So go to analyze, that's the graph. This is the count, this is the average, this is the computer science. If you want labels, you can take labels. That's the date. So copy from here, you can paste anywhere you want. Right? I'm deleting it because I don't have much space here. Right. So I want to see the age distribution of the students. So I take them back. So I want age distribution, right click, group, minimum is 18. So let me start with 10, 58. So I put it 60, interval 10. Then take the count of it. And students here, I'm putting here. So how many girls students are here? I mean, just imagine what you want, you will get the answer.
Sir, how could we know how many girls are of 20 years of age, exact 20 years?
Exact 20 years.
Yes.
Okay. So I want starting 20, right? Ending also 20. by 0. Okay. It's, I think, I just ungroup them. $20 का नहीं है कोई इसमें. If you see the number, there is no 20. But if you want 22, you can get 22.
Sir, I was telling 28. How many girls are of 28 years of age? For example, if I want
Okay,
to
okay,
sell a
select
product.
28. Select 28.
Yes.
Fine. Sorry. Unselect, select 28. Okay. Monica Sani is asking, is there any difference in making charts and graphs by using insert function? And no, there is no difference. You will get the same charts, but pivot table gives you chart preparation very, very fast. And the way you want, you can do that quickly. So arrange and make a chart immediately. So pivot table gives you flexibility, gives you quickness without writing any formula or any data. Nothing is to be selected. That's the advantage of it. Okay. Right. So we have a birth rate and death rate of different states. So what I do is I go to insert pivot table. So I want to find out frequency distribution of the birth rate. Right click group. Minimum I take 10. Nandi, somebody is using whiteboard.
Sir, I'll check.
And if you want the number, you can use the count of the states. We get this. And I want to see the death rate here. Group it. Minimum I take 0, ending at 10, difference 2. So this is your death rate. So quickly you can make your, you can also interpret what's happening here. If you see here, you will find interesting point as the death rate is increasing, birth rate is also increasing. So it hints that there is a positive association between the birth rates and death rates. And if you want, you can make the graph of it. You go to analyze. That's what we get. Monica, you will find it's quicker than using your insert function to make a graph.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. So I hope you are able to understand, importance of your pivot function. Any question about pivot table? You can do a lot of things about pivot table. Nandini is still, I'm saying whiteboard, somebody is put a mark on the whiteboard.
Yes, sir. We're just trying to fix it.
Any question about pivot table? Any doubts? Then whenever we are working with the data, we would like to have their basic statistics. We want measure of central tendency, mean, median, mode, range, standard deviation, variance, measure of symmetry, skewness, and curtices. How do we get quickly all these statistics in one go for all the variables, whatever you have? That's our next challenge. Okay. So let's see how we can do it quickly. Nandita, it is not being fixed.
Yes, sir. There's some technical glitch, sir. Just a second.
Whiteboard.
Just look at all the participants.
I have done it from my end.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you so much, sir.
I'm sorry.
Right. Okay. I want basic statistics about birth rate, death rate, infant mortality rate. I mean their mean, median, mode, minimum value, maximum value, standard deviation, variance, skewness, curtices. All these statistics I want in one go. How do we get it? Bhagya Gupta is asking difference between pivot chart and normal chart, no difference. This is alternative way to make your charts. That's it. No difference. Whatever you can do with the normal chart, the same thing you can do with the pivot chart. Same process you can follow. No problem. Okay, so I think let me add. Do you see this data, right? If you click on this data, you will observe there is an option, data analysis. Is anyone who is not able to see this data analysis? It's a very powerful statistical utility of Excel. Is there any student who is not able to see this data analysis option under data? No? So I hope all of you are able to see this option. So let's pick up this option, data analysis. In this data analysis, you will see the option descriptive statistics. Then, okay.
Sir,
Hmm.
I can't see that data analysis tool on my ribbon.
You will see it.
So in case they don't have data
Okay.
analysis tool, they can download.
Okay.
they can just click on.
Right. So you go to File, follow with me. Select option. Which is at the bottom. Then Excel options will pop in. There's an option add-ins. Click on add-ins. Then at the bottom, you will see here manage Excel add-ons. Then you click on go. And you will find this window. In that you click on analysis toolpath, then you say, okay. It will take 1 or 2 seconds and you will, after that, you will see the data analysis option. So the process which you are following is file, options, add-ins, Excel options, Excel options, go, and you will be getting a window where you select the necessary options. So I go to data analysis, descriptive statistics. Okay. Now he's asking me input range. This is my input range. I'm taking with the heading, with the label. My data is in columns, labels in the first row. I say, okay. You have to click on summary statistics. Then you say, okay. And that's the data which we get. And now you will see what information you are getting. You are getting mean, standard error, median, mode, standard deviation, sample variance, kurtosis, skewness, range, minimum, maximum, sum, count. Just by selecting an option, giving your input data, you get all these statistics in one go for all the variables. You can put 10 variables, 20 variables together, and you will get all the necessary statistics for all the data. I show you again how we can do it. Wage data, for example. I want all statistics about the wage data. So I go to data analysis, descriptive statistics, and my data is here in A column. Then I say, okay, And we get all these statistics about my wage data.
Hello, Sunita.
Mean, standard error, median, mode, standard deviation, statistical range, minimum, maximum count. And many times you have to, give the basic or descriptive statistics of your data in your project. Right? So what we have learned so far, how to convert string data to numeric data, and that too quickly. Second thing is how to make tables simple, cross-step. Cross-step tables are those tables which are having data in row and data in column. Right? We also make the graphs. And basic statistics. Any question before we go ahead? Any question, any doubt?
Sir, can you show the data analysis thing again?
What you want to see in it? Click on it.
Yes, sir. Done.
Click on it. Look, click on it.
Done, sir.
So select descriptive.
Yes, sir. Done.
Then select the data whose descriptive statistics you want.
Sir, what shall I select? Like in input range?
Which data you are working with?
Data, birth rate.
That's why I started with this, that you must know what exactly you want. Descriptive statistics of which data? If you don't know that, look, computer will not do anything for you. You have to come out with that. तुम्हें पता होना चाहिए किस डेटा पे काम कर रहे हो तुम. Okay, Shalini is asking me, can you explain the cross tabulation? So Shalini, this is an example of cross tabulation, right? So here in rows, I have the birth rate. And here we have death rate. And that's your cross tabulation, which is used primarily to get an idea about association between variables.
Sir, I have a problem in reading this cross table. Like you said, that rate is decreasing and birth rate also decreasing. तो वो वाला reading में थोड़ी problem आ रही. तो can you explain this?
अच्छा, ये बताओ कि जब तुम यहाँ से यहाँ मूव कर रहे हो, ठीक है, और यहाँ से यहाँ मूव कर रहे हो, तो क्या हो रहा है? ये जो फिगर है वो क्या रिप्रेजेंट कर रही है?
How many years people are मतलब living, birth rate मतलब कि
Birth rate है
कितना
ये?
birth rate है?
हाँ, तो ज्यादा बर्थ रेट है ना ये,
Yes, sir.
और डेथ रेट भी ज्यादा है,
Yes, sir.
और अगर बर्थ रेट कम है तो क्या है, डेथ रेट कम है ना यहाँ पे 2, और जैसे जैसे बर्थ रेट बढ़ता जा रहा है क्या नजर आ रहा है, डेथ रेट बढ़ रहे हैं कि नहीं बढ़ रहे?
Yes, sir.
That's how we read it. Dr. Neeraj, there is no command. Actually, I think, let me, it just pick and drop. Suppose, right. So, I take, do you see any association between students and girls and their marks in maths and computer science? Who gets more numbers in computer science or maths? Boys or girls? I want to know that. So what I do is I put gender in row, sorry, students in row, and maths. I want to compare the average. And computer science, average. So what does it show? Boys are doing comparatively better in maths, and girls are doing better in computer science as compared to boys. That's how you will interpret this. Bhagya, I'm not able to understand your question. One column data and into separate column data, what does it mean? If we have name and surname in a single column, so can we differentiate in separate column?
So she wants to say that she wants to put names in one column and surname in the other column.
Okay. Let me take this exercise. I don't have the name data with me right now, but I have the data, this one. Let me put it in a separate sheet. Okay. Bhagya, you think this is first name. Second name. Bhagya, think that we have two names, boy and student. So boy is student, boy is the first name, student is the second name, and I want to separate them. How do I do it? For that, we use a very powerful utility, which is called Flash. Flash is basically an artificial intelligence tool. It gives you, it asks you, if you give it a pattern, this pattern will be copied, and according to that pattern, it will give you the necessary output. So first you have to give the pattern. So pattern is like this. We have the name, and I'm picking the first one, the boy. Okay. So what does it mean? I'm giving an instruction that, okay, whatever name you have in column A, you pick the first one here. So select the data where you want to fill this. Bhagya, see what I'm doing. I've selected it, right? Now you go to data. In data, you will see an option, flash. To check. Yes, this is my flash. Do you see this? Then I want to pick the second name. So go pick the second name, student. Then go to flash and you got the second name. I think I might be having some data with me. Let me check where I have the names. Okay, let me take this. But I think let me check if I have the data with me. Right. I have some companies' data with me. Bhagya, tell me what you want from these names. What you want from this name? Suppose I want to get the name of the companies without the word LTD. So I just write 3M India. So 3M is together. And I tell you, it's a very powerful utility, Flash. I want to pick the name without the word limited. So now I go to data, Flash, and see what's happening. All the names are being selected without the word limited. And that's how you can do it. Okay, anybody, any question? Any doubt? Anything? So Dr. Neeraja, any question about cross step? No command, you have to just drag and drop something in row, something in column. Okay, anybody else? A flash is first Nandi, who is writing on the whiteboard again and again.
So Fixed it. The access is only with you, sir. I don't know how it is happening. I'll just check once again. Till then, you can continue, sir.
Or let me take another data if I get some data with me. I'm just looking at some data if I can get. Okay, let me take this data. Now, in the year, I want to pick only the last 2 digits. I don't want everything. I want last 2 digits of the year. So what do? You write the last 2 digits. Say 79. So Excel will understand that you are, getting 79, the last 2 digits. Then you go to data, flash click, and you see the last 2 digits of the year are being there. That's how we can make use of it. Okay, right. So let's see what next we are going to do. Next, it's a time to have a break. So let's have a break, 10 minutes, and then we will come back and finish our next agenda. Sorry.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome, sir, again after the
Welcome
break.
back.
Yes, thank you so much.
And any quick question? What if you have anything before the break? So primarily we talk about pivot table, VLOOKUP, Flash, descriptive statistics. These are the things which we find they're very, very useful for our data analysis. And all you can do quickly without using any of the software except Excel. So they say even if you knock it and no way to stop it, we're not going to stop. We have to continue and we have to go ahead, and we will stop only when our agenda is finished. Many times we collect data to prove our hypothesis or belief. Okay. Yes. Manisha, I know you are working on a project. Are you there, Manisha?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm very much there.
I know. Any hypothesis you had for your project which you want to check?
I am currently working on work-life balance that the present
So what-
scenario has
what is the
affected.
any hypothesis there? Give me one.
Yes.
If you
So
want to
I
check
said,
with your data.
okay, so it has affected the work-life balance.
What has
of
affected?
The COVID situation on remote teaching.
Okay. Remote teaching has effect. So this is our hypothesis, which we would like to test using our data, right?
Mhm.
And for that, any hypothesis which you want to test, it has to be put on a test. And for that, you have to use a test. So I really don't know what nature of data you have, but you have to use some statistical tests to prove or disprove your hypothesis.
Right.
And like this, I'm sure many of you must be working with some proposition, some hypothesis, which they want to prove or disprove by using their data. Okay, Excel gives you some statistical tools which can be used for hypothesis testing. I don't say that it gives you all, but it gives you some of them. And what are those? That's what we are going to discuss. So let's move now to what is called a hypothesis testing. And we have the basic elements of the hypothesis testing. You have to formulate a null and alternative hypothesis and select a test statistic which is suitable for your purpose. That may be your T, Z, chi-square, F, like that. You have to specify level of significance, and mostly we specify 5% level of significance. And then on the basis of the statistics, our hypothesis and level of significance, we decide whether a null is to be accepted or to be rejected. For that, you have to define a suitable criteria and make assumptions if required, like whether your distribution is normal or not, whether you know the population parameter or not, like that. And then experiment, do the calculations, test the statistics, and finally come out with the decision whether the null is to be accepted or to be rejected. So these are the basic elements of your test of hypothesis. And should we accept null or should we not accept null hypothesis? It depends upon what we say probability value or p-value. And you will find most of the softwares are giving you the probability value of the p-value. And on the basis of the p-value, we decide whether the null is to be accepted or not to be accepted. If the probability value is less than your level of significance, if p-value is less than your alpha, the level of significance, then we reject our null hypothesis. Then we reject our null hypothesis. Otherwise, we don't reject our null hypothesis. So if it is true, reject your null, otherwise don't reject your null. And whenever we are performing our hypothesis testing, we may have one-tail test or a two-tail test, depending upon your hypothesis. If you feel that your rejection reason is on both the sides, then it's two-tail test. If it is only on one side, it is one-tail test. For different purposes and different cases, we have different statistical tests for hypothesis testing. And we are going to talk about which are widely used. But you have to check whether they are suitable for your data or your problem or not. But what I'm discussing with you, they are widely used statistical tests. So if you have one sample and you have a mean test, then you can use either z-test or t-test. But these days, we always use t-test and not z. Because one of the assumptions of z-test is that you know the population standard deviation, which we rarely know. And therefore, all the time we have unknown population standard deviation. And therefore, we prefer to use t-test rather than z-test. Okay, one sample mean test, use t-statistics. if we are having two samples which are related samples, like before training and after training, if we have a data, and after training, so before COVID, after COVID, income. So I want to check before COVID, what was the income, and after COVID, what was the income, and are they significantly different or not? For that, you have to make use of paired t-test because they are related samples. Same respondent is giving you response. And if they are independent, like marks of girls students and marks of boys students, independent, there we use t-test for difference of means or proportions. And if you have more than two samples, then we use analysis of variance, which is called ANOVA. So one sample, two samples, more than two samples. T-test, related, paired, t-test, unrelated or independent, two sample, independent t-test. And if you have more than two, then we use ANOVA. And all this we can do by making use of Excel. Okay, so let's see how do we apply them and get our results. Okay, whose anxiety level is normally high, male or female? So this is the average anxiety level of female, anxiety level, mean anxiety level of the female, male. Okay, so what will be the nature of null hypothesis? What will be null hypothesis? What will be null hypothesis here?
There is no difference between anxiety level of female and female.
Yes, Shalini. So what does it mean? Mean of female is that of equal to male, alternatively not same. Okay, two samples. Female and male both are independent. And therefore, we shall be using a independent T sample test. And all these tests are available in the script in data analysis tool. So let me open up this file, hypothesis testing. There is a worksheet, anxiety level. So we have anxiety level of male and female. Okay, so go to data, data analysis. To sample independent t-test. That we have to pick up. So I go to data analysis, scroll down. Okay, t-test, 2 samples, assuming equal means. Suppose I am assuming both are having equal variances. Then this is my first variable. This is my second variable. Labels are there in the first row. Hypothesized difference of the mean is 0. This is your variable 1 data, variable 2 data. We are saying that the difference between them is 0. That's my hypothesis. And first row is having my labels. And my level of significance is 5%. If you want to change, you can change it. And I want my result in just a minute. Say T1. Right, so that's the result which we get from our. So let's see, how do we interpret the result? So the anxiety level mean of male is this much, female is this much. This is the T statistics. And my null is both are same. Alternatively, both are not same. Is it one tail test or two tail test? Who will tell me?
The two-tail test.
Two-tail, sir.
Two tail test, right? This is my probability value. More than 5% level of significance. Null is not rejected, it is accepted. So that means our data does not support the hypothesis that male and female are having different anxiety level. Our data says both are having same level of anxiety level on an average. Monica, in case of your buyback before and after, ANOVA cannot be used because ANOVA is based on the assumption that your observations are independent of each other. But they are not independent, they are dependent.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yes, Dr. Nirja, you are right. We failed to reject our null hypothesis. That's my conclusion. Let's take another problem. Do you believe that training can improve the typing speed of the office employees? That's before, that's after. Null, no difference. So the average typing speed before is equal to the average typing speed after. What will be my alternative hypothesis?
So there is a difference. UP is unequal to
So difference means before is less. You mean to say after training, the speed will come down?
No, sir, it will be more.
So that means alternatively, before mean should be less than after mean. So if my null is rejected, then after training number has to be more than the low before training, before typing speed number. That means my test is one tail test. Okay, so let's see how do we do it. So we have the speed data with us. We have the before and after. So I go to data analysis. We have paired two sample test. Variable range is this. Second is this. Hypothesized mean difference is 0. First row is having labels. Output I'm taking in say D1. And that's the result which we get.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, here n is less than 30. Still, we can use this test?
T is for small.
I mean, if n is less than 30, then we can use both t-test and this paired sample t-test.
T-test and?
This one, paired sample t-test, which we are doing right now.
And paired and what is the second one?
Sir, both. My basic question is, if n is less than 30, even then we can use both these tests?
Both, which is the second one?
Sir, t-test and paired sample t-test.
Okay. Right.
Or should we check for normality first?
No. That's separate question. Monica, can you answer? Okay. Paired t-test or t-test has nothing to do with the number of observations. Yes, Monica.
Sir, in case of t-test, the assumption of large sample that is required in case of z-test. For that, we need more than 30 sample size.
Yes, sir.
But,
and has nothing to do with paired and t-test, right?
Yes, sir.
Paired test will be applied when the samples are related. Same employee before and after, dependent. And t-test is used when they are independent, no relation.
Sir, that I got it, but my question is that n, if it is less than 30, still we can use these tests, no? According to the
I'm
situation.
saying that number does not make any difference.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Even if you have 5, it's okay, no problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So it was a one-tail test, and the p-value for the one-tail test is this one, less than 5%. Null is rejected. That means there is a difference. What the difference? The speed has increased after. And this increase is significant increase, statistically significant increase. So you can prove this hypothesis. Let's see what next we are going to talk about. What comes to mind when you see this picture? Anybody? What this picture is talking about? No response? This is a women's prison in Tihar, and it's called jail number 6. And once there was a lady, she was Vimla Mehra, Director General Prisons. And she noticed that some of the prisoners in women's cell write poem. She wanted to encourage them to write more, so as she believes that in this way she can make them more happy. So she encouraged them, and then whatever poems were written by these women prisoners, they are being compiled in a book whose name is Tinka Tinka Tihar. And I picked up one poem from that particular book. I read just few lines out of it. कैसे कहूँ मैं पापी नहीं हूँ, मैंने बार बार कहा पाप मैंने नहीं किया, हुआ नहीं, मारा नहीं, किसी को सताया नहीं, हाँ मैंने देखा घर था, चोर का चुपके से घुसना. So, but our focus of story is not this. The real story starts now. She wanted to know whether publication of such collection of poems really improved the happiness of women in jail number 6. And for that, a happiness index was developed on the basis of a number of parameters, which were social, economic, physical, psychological, and spiritual. On the basis of that, they decide to measure happiness of the prisoners' women. And some data was there, and this data is not true data, it's all data for example purposes. So we have data before publication of the book and data after the publication of the book. So what should be my null hypothesis? Alternative. Which test we have to use? Quick.
Sir, null hypothesis is there is no significant difference before and after the publication of the book.
Nirja,
Alternative hypothesis
okay.
is that
Nirja,
before and after both are equal.
right.
Third is it is a two-tailed test, and fourth is it is two sample paired t-test.
Right. Dr. Nija, where are you? कहाँ पढ़ाते हो डॉक्टर निर्जा? चंचल, डॉक्टर निजा कहाँ से है?
Sir, I don't know her.
अच्छा.
Sir, I'm from Lady Irwin College, Delhi
Okay.
University.
Okay. Dr. Nirja, when we define null hypothesis, we normally don't use the word significant. Significant is word we use when we come to a conclusion. Because our hypothesis says that whether there is a difference or there is no difference. So we proceed with that particular hypothesis. It is a statistical tool that tells us whether difference is statistically significant or not. But you are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. A null hypothesis that the mean happiness index before and after is same. Alternatively, they are not same. Okay. And in that case, it will be two-tailed test. before and after paired t-test, and let's see how do we apply it here. So we have jail data with us, and so I go to data analysis, paired t-test. First data is this one. Second is this one. And labels 0, 0. And that's the result which we get. So this is my T statistics. And it's a two-tailed test. So this is my probability value, which is less than 5%. Null is rejected, which means there is a difference. And significant difference. And after happiness, the index has really increased from 46.4 to 49.33. That shows that this experiment has really made prisoners more happy as compared to before that particular experiment. That's how we get the conclusion. Okay. I have.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, in this, do we have to apply one-tail test or two-tail test? Because here also you were saying that this will improve. So
Right. So in that case, we should apply, because Dr. Nija said two-tail. So it depends upon your purpose. But if you believe that, very strongly believe that experiment will not reduce happiness index, at the most it will increase. In that case, it will be one-tail test.
Okay.
Good noon, sir. Sir, continuing the same question, in this particular case, like you are using the two-tailed, but in the previous one-tailed has been used. So if on either side it may be, like I was just having a look at the happiness index,
right?
It's increasing as well as sometimes it is decreasing also. So from this T value, P value or T value, I have to identify which side, which tail it is.
Which tail is it?
Yes. Like it may be on the positive side or it may be negative side as well.
T value is negative, right?
Sir, let me just please.
T value is negative. T value is negative, right?
Yes, sir.
So it will give me the area on the lower side. This area. If it is positive, it will give me the other way around, this area in that case. So the sign of the T value will tell you which end area you are getting, the lower side or the upper side.
Perfect, sir. Understood. Sir, can you just show the previous example of typing wala?
You know what it does? Before minus after. So it is giving me tail. Okay. I change the order of the variable. See what happens.
In that case, it will come positive then. That will be indicated.
Right. Then I take after, before, and before first. Do you see it's coming to be positive? And since T distribution is symmetrical distribution, so whether you take probability of the lower side or upper side, probability will not change. Okay, Dr. Sunita,
Thank
is
you,
that
sir.
clear?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Fine.
Anuradha Goyal is asking, what does the one-tail test value in this table indicate? Anuradha ji, which table value you're talking about? Are you talking about the t value or the probability value?
Sir, I got it. Actually, before somebody has already asked that question and you have answered it. So I have understood that.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask you something out of context? Sir?
So we can also specify if P statistics is less than 2.064 or more than that.
But will you show positive or negative? It depends upon what is the first variable you are taking.
Yes, sir.
So normally first we give before and second variable I give after. That's the normal practice we follow. Okay. Right. We have marks in maths and computer science. What are the hypotheses we would like to prove here? Suppose I want to have a hypothesis that average marks in maths is equal to 45. Alternatively, it's not equal to 45. Right? So we have one tail test, which is mean test.
One-tailed.
Sir, it is
Sorry,
two-tailed
sorry.
test.
Yes, yes. Actually, I was saying it's one sample test rather than
Mean test.
one tail. So let's see, how do we do it? We go to data analysis and okay. There is no ready-made test which is available for this. I think we have inbuilt function t-test array. This is my array. Tails to
Sir, if we make another table using 45, then it will work as likewise in the function itself, isn't it? If for maths,
suppose if I put
45 is copied, so
Specify
that will
number
work
of
as in a
distribution.
comparative manner.
Paired one, okay, it's for two sample. It's for two sample, right? It's not for one sample. Anyway, let me show you how do we do it. No problem in it. So we know we can get the descriptive statistics. That's my descriptive statistics. This is my standard error. So how shall we get the t-value here? What the formula for t-value? Actual mean, which is 45 point this. Sorry. And my hypothesized mean is 45 divided by standard error. That's my t-value. And corresponding to that, we can get the p-value. T-test x is
Degree of freedom.
this one, and degrees of freedom is my 40 minus 1, 39. And one tail test, 2 for two tail test. This is my probability value. Which is very high. That means
Null fly.
null is not rejected. That will be our answer. Okay, so now if I want to prove that null hypothesis is that mean marks in computer science is equal to mean marks in mathematics, alternatively, they are not equal, then we have two samples, both are independent samples. Then we have to use our
Two sample t-test. Two
Yes.
sample
So I
independent.
go to data analysis, two sample assuming equal means. So my first data is this one. And
So may I ask a query relating to maths?
yes, do that.
Sir, what if we make another column, putting 45 as the assumed mean, then we can compare?
करके देखो.
It should have, I think so, but it should.
करके देखो ना.
अच्छा.
करके देखो क्या दिक्कत है.
सर ये क्वेश्चन स्टैटिस्टिक्स का नहीं है, वो पूछ लूं?
एक सेकंड. This is A. Right. So that's the data which we get, and if you see the two-tail probability is greater than 5% level of significance. Therefore, no difference, no significant difference between the average marks of the computer science and maths. Okay, though the if you see the numbers looks to be different, but statistically they are not different. बता सकते हो क्यों नहीं है?
Variance is very high.
Variance is very high. Dr. Rija, which question you're talking about? We can use formula here for one sample. T-test. Nija, Dr. Nija, क्या question है? Okay, already over. Right. So, वो 45 वाला करके देखा आपने?
Not as it, sir. I've just opened.
Dr. Sunita, it assumed that both the samples are random samples and both samples have variation. दूसरे सैंपल का वेरिएशन आएगा ही नहीं, जीरो, तो टेस्ट नहीं अप्लाई होगा. आप करके देखो, नहीं होगा.
Okay, sir.
Because you need variation of both. और दूसरे वेरिएशन है नहीं. Zero variation है. Right. Who was saying कि क्वेश्चन पूछना है, स्टैटिस्टिक्स से रिलेटेड नहीं है?
तो मैं बोल रही थी सर, आप सॉफ्टवेयर,
हाँ शिवानी.
हाँ जी सर, तो सॉफ्टवेयर्स पे आप कैसे लिख पा रहे हैं सर? मतलब
ये टच स्क्रीन है.
हाँ जी,
ये जो लैपटॉप है ये टच स्क्रीन है, इसलिए मैं लिख पा रहा हूँ.
अच्छा अच्छा, ओके.
Let's see what next we are going to talk about. A new Chinese restaurant is opened in your locality. You have heard about it, and the place is great, has great food and ambience. How would you rate your willingness to visit the new place? And that's the rating which we get over different age group. So what will be null hypothesis?
No
Vibha, are you there?
No difference in the number of people visiting Chinese restaurant.
Vibha, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Vibha, ये तुम्हारे क्वेश्चन का क्वेश्चन है ये?
अच्छा अच्छा.
और नॉर्थ ईस्ट वाला है वो क्वेश्चन.
हाँ अच्छा अच्छा. ओके ओके ओके. एक्चुअली ना मेरा बीच में कंप्यूटर क्रैश कर गया, तो मैंने आपकी क्लास आधे से ज्यादा तो अटेंड ही नहीं की.
अरे कोई नहीं. तो उसमें एक क्वेश्चन था कि एक आपके लोकेलिटी में चाइनीज रेस्टोरेंट खुला है.
हाँ.
और उसके बारे में आपकी क्या रेटिंग होगी, समथिंग लाइक दैट.
हाँ बिल्कुल था.
उसको मैंने ब्रीफ करके लिखा यहाँ पे.
अच्छा अच्छा.
तो क्या ये जो रेटिंग है डिफरेंट एज ग्रुप में सेम है, डिफरेंट है?
डिफरेंट एज ग्रुप में डिफरेंट है.
वो तो हमें चेक करना पड़ेगा ना.
हाँ चेक करेंगे, बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं आप.
So that's what we are going to do.
Okay.
So we have different samples, more than 2 samples, because we have more than one age group, and they are giving different ratings. We have to check whether they are statistically significant
or not. Okay.
So more than 2 samples, so we have to make use of ANOVA.
Okay. But ANOVA में like can we use it? First of all, we have to convert it into the numerical terms, ना? Then only.
तो मैंने कर दिया.
हाँ.
उनको करना पड़ेगा न्यूमेरिक में.
Okay.
और कैसे करना होगा वो मैंने फर्स्ट शुरू में ही बता दिया था.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
क्योंकि many people believe कि न्यूमेरिक कन्वर्ट करने का क्या फायदा है. अब जब आपको इस तरह की एडवांस एनालिसिस करनी पड़ेगी तो फिर कन्वर्जन का फायदा है.
हाँ नहीं, शुरू का मैंने थोड़ा सा तो आपका अटेंड किया था, तो जब आपने बताया था कि हाउ टू कन्वर्ट इट, तो दैट मींस वी हैव टू कन्वर्ट इट नाउ.
उसे बगैर कन्वर्जन के नहीं होगा काम.
सर वो लिंक नहीं मिल पाया था. इट विल बी ग्रेट इफ यू कुड रिपीट अ बिट कन्वर्जन का.
So we have age groups. These are the data which we have in different age groups, right? So we go to data.
A Likert scale. It's a Likert 5-point Likert scale.
Yes. ANOVA single factor. So that's my input data. And data is in columns, labels. Trade is say one. Okay. And that's the result which we get.
Excuse me, sir, slide is not moving. Now it is moving. Okay.
And my p-value is this one, which is more than 5%. No difference.
So it's
And you know why we have no difference? Because most of the participants or respondents are in the same age group. Very few people are outside this age group. So if they are similar, then you will
Sir,
not.
I could not see the steps.
Okay, I do it again. So go to analyze data, data analyze.
so can you show
ANOVA single factor.
can you show the raw data as well, the way
Then this is my raw data for different age group. And then I say group by columns, labels in the first row. And that's what we get.
So, sir, sorry, can we accept this kind of analysis? Why? Because it's sort of the samples, all the samples, majority are lying in one particular age group. So,
right. तो उसका कोई सेंस नहीं होता. डिफरेंस किसका आप लगाओगे? अगर 99% लोग एक ही एज ग्रुप में है, तो फिर तो डिफरेंस का कोई सेंस नहीं रहता ना.
तो इसको सर कैसे इंटरप्रेट करेंगे? I mean, would it affect my paper, my study? But किसी ने भरा ही नहीं.
Your sample नहीं भरा, वो लिमिटेशन तो रहती है. क्योंकि या तो उस एज ग्रुप को हटा दें हम लोग अपनी एनालिसिस में, क्योंकि रिस्पॉन्सेस बहुत कम है. मैं देखता हूँ अगर मैं इन दोनों को हटा देता हूँ तब क्या आता है.
हाँ, 0 to 14 and
हाँ.
I don't know. But then
सर इसमें आपने अनइक्वल वो भी लिया है.
अनइक्वल से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
बट अगर एज ग्रुप को हटा दिया जाए तो उस स्टडी का कोई खास मीनिंग ही नहीं निकलता.
तो सैंपल में ये ध्यान रखना चाहिए ना, सबका फेयर प्रेजेंटेशन होना चाहिए. अब एक ही अपने बच्चों से अपने फ्रेंड से भरवा लोगे, सब एक ही एज ग्रुप के होंगे तो कैसे होगा काम.
So then what is the suggestion? I mean, how do we go about it? Because these are actually the practical problems while collecting data.
मनीषा, मेहनत करनी पड़ती है, भरवाना पड़ता जाके. ऐसे नहीं होता कि इंटरनेट
मेहनत तो बहुत करनी पड़ती है सर. Absolutely right.
तो जो इंटरनेट का डेटा की क्वालिटी है वो क्वेश्चन मार्क तो रहती है ना. Now who will respond? If you send me a questionnaire, I won't respond it. Why should I? तो तुम्हारे फ्रेंड सर्किल में होंगे, फ्रेंड सर्किल तुम्हारे एज ग्रुप के होंगे.
Right.
तो वो सैंपल बायस तो रहता है ना.
So that we can take as a limitation, is it?
Yes, that you can take as a limitation.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
ओए होए बधाई बधाई हो जी बधाइयाँ
Then let's take another problem, and some experiment was done regarding the hand wash and what is the best way to wash your hands in terms of how much capacity each each method is having in killing the bacteria in the hands. And the researcher got some data, and this is the data which they get. This is box plot. And can we make box plot in Excel? Because I think I have some data with me where box plot is a very good plot. And we can make a box plot in Excel also. But your Excel should be, I think, 2013 onwards. So I have the vegetable prices in quintals, right? I want to make a box plot of it. So go to insert and sorry, I have to select my data first. Go to charts. You have a box and whisker plot. And you can add the labels. Legends. And you can make a box plot here. But this utility is not there in Excel 2008, Microsoft 8, 10, I think. It's 10 onwards, you can draw the box plot. Very good graph, very good chart. Gives you a lot of information.
सर ये कैंडल एंड स्टिक और ये बॉक्स प्लॉट सेम है
मोनिका तुम पूछ रही हो ये
मतलब सर
कैंडल
कंफर्म
स्टिक
करना
में क्या होता है वो
सर लो हाई प्राइस वाला जो ओपनिंग प्राइस
हाँ,
क्लोजिंग प्राइस हाई
तो ये क्या है अगर ये फिल्ड नहीं है तो दिस इज ओपनिंग क्लोजिंग लो and maximum or the high. Here, this is quartile 3, quartile 1, line is quartile 2, median. This cross is mean. This is quartile 3 plus 1.5 interquartile range. This below one is Q1 minus interquartile range into 1.5. So there is a huge difference. This box plot gives you the statistical measures, and candlestick or candle bar chart or candle chart simply gives you actual opening, closing, maximum, low. So there is a huge difference between these two.
Yes, sir.
It gives outliers also beyond this.
Yes, you can identify the outliers here, like here. So that's the advantage of box plot. Anyway, let's go back to this. So box plot shows that the averages might be different. And that's what we have to check. So my null is all methods are equally effective. That means mean of 1 is equal to mean of 2 is equal to mean of 3 is equal to mean of. The averages of all the 4 are same. That's my null hypothesis. Monica, alternative क्या होगी?
Sorry, sir.
Monica, alternative.
Ji, sir. At least one of the method is different.
Yes. At least one of them is different from others. That will be my alternative hypothesis. So you have to be careful about defining alternative hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis will not be this. All are not equal. At least 2 of them should be different, or at least one of them is not equal to the other. That is my alternative hypothesis. So in this example, we can make use of, the analysis of variance. And this is my data. If you want, I can make the box plot of it. Go to insert, box whisker, and that's, I put the legends. That's what we get. See how quickly you can do a lot of things here. Do the data analysis and ANOVA. My data is this one. Column label this and at the result which we get. So the p-value is less than 5%. Null is rejected. There are differences. If we see the average, antibacterial soap has most effectiveness. Sorry. Yes. Water. Let me. Gene that it. Okay, right. So what does it say? These are the numbers of bacteria known as remain in the hands. So what we wish after that hand wash, the bacteria clearance should be as minimum as possible. So in that case, alcohol spray is giving you the best result. Ordinary soap and water, they're very close. But alcohol spray is definitely significantly different from others. And therefore, if you want to suggest that alcohol-based spray is the best one to kill the bacteria in your hand, that's what we get it. So let's see what next we are going to talk about.
Also, the between variation is greater than the within variation. So the F value is very high. So
right, that's why it is rejected, no? That's why it is rejected.
But it tells about the variation also. Yes.
Yes. And that's why it is called ANOVA, right?
Yes.
Analyze the variation to
Yes, sir.
decide null is to be rejected or rejected.
Yes.
So, but we should increase the sample size as well, no?
That is always desirable, Shivani.
Okay, sir.
Larger the sample you have, better will be the quality of your estimates and tests.
Yes, sir.
But what sample size we should at least take on?
विभा कम से कम 10,000.
और you know.
अरे कोई हार्ड एंड फास्ट रूल नहीं है.
नहीं, बट फिर भी कितना जैसे बच्चे करते हैं तो स्टूडेंट्स प्रोजेक्ट कितना हमें उन्हें सजेस्ट करना चाहिए?
कम से कम 100-200 तो लेके आए वो.
ओके फाइन.
जेन्युइन. लेकिन अगर एक्सपर्ट्स की ओपिनियन ले रहे हो आप तो एक्सपर्ट तो आपको मिलेगी नहीं ना. नहीं, या किसी टॉप मैनेजमेंट का इंटरव्यू लेना है या टॉप मैनेजमेंट से डेटा लेना है तो कितने लोग मिलेंगे? 100-200 थोड़ी मिलेंगे. हार्डली 10-20. So you have to also see the nature of the problem which you have. मोनिका, तुम बाईबैक का कितना ले रहे हो डेटा?
सर वैसे टोटल अनाउंसमेंट तो 600 प्लस की है, बट
कंपनी
क्लीनिंग करने के बाद अराउंड नंबर ऑफ कंपनीज मेरे अराउंड 250 समथिंग होंगी.
हाँ 250 है. लोग 2,000 भी कंपनियां लेते हैं, लेकिन 250 भी ठीक है.
बायबैक हुए ही नहीं, टोटल बायबैक ही 600 समथिंग है. 1999 से 2021.
So that means what? Vibha, it depends upon your population size also.
हाँ, definitely.
How large is your population size?
Yes. We have
If
to
you
take.
want to do survey about mobile services, so maybe 500-600 is sufficient.
Yeah. Okay. In both of our research project, it's around 250 to 300.
Normally we go by that. Normally.
Okay.
Sir, suppose if we have a study on banks, commercial banks, and around 60 to 70 banks are there in India. So
Right.
what is the minimum sample size for conducting a study?
What is the object? What is the problem? Suppose you want to do this study between PSUs and private sector service quality, right?
Yes, sir.
So foreign banks will be out. So your sample, your population will be reduced. You will be left about 50 banks, 50, 60 banks. So you take all of them.
Okay, sir.
Provided you got the data, right? And if you got the
Sir,
data,
can we
30
do
banks,
some
then
case study type of analysis by selecting some 10-12 banks of an index?
what index you're talking about?
Any stock exchange listed index like NSE, BSE, they have sectoral indices also.
Right.
So can we take up that, sir?
Or what for you want to take it?
Sir, to analyze their reporting practices, sustainability reporting practices.
Index से क्या होगा? Index से तो कुछ नहीं होगा. Because reporting practices are different for different banks. That will not be reflected in the Nifty bank index.
Okay, then we have to, focus on certain banks and modify the objective.
Right.
Okay, got it, sir.
And sir, if some indices are available with respect to some parameters, one can use that as a second.
One can use it, but it depends.
Yeah.
Purpose is what? Many times we look for relations between.
So sometimes like ICRA and all, they prepare, index numbers of the company with respect to reporting also. For example, corporate governance, environmental standards, and so they prepare index. So if some
they call it ESG index, right?
ESG index. So if index is available, one can use it for analysis.
पर what for? किस पर्पस के लिए यूज करोगे आप? पर्पस भी तो होना चाहिए ना.
नहीं रिपोर्टिंग के लिए आप कह रहे थे ना कि मैं कह रही हूँ कि कभी-कभी इंडेक्स नंबर भी कंपनी की रिपोर्टिंग प्रैक्टिसेस के लिए कि कितना रिपोर्ट कर रही है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू कॉर्पोरेट मीटिंग द कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस नॉर्म्स या environmental standards या social
responsibility. But I do not know what is the objective of Sushma ji in reporting. Suppose the topic is that after Ind AS application, is reporting have been changed? Or what is the impact of the Ind AS on the banking reporting practices? Then ESG index will not be of any use.
Yes, yes. What I'm saying is sometimes, I mean,
Yes,
I was
yes.
just saying that they are available. Sometimes
Right.
some indices
सुषमा जी किसकी रिपोर्टिंग क्या रिपोर्टिंग देख रहे हो आप?
Sir, I have developed my own index, I mean, consisting of 50 indicators. And uske hisab se uska analysis karna hai, but I am looking for some smaller study
नहीं, but
focusing
index for
on
what?
some
Index
aspects.
for what? Sushma ji, index for what?
Sir, for analyzing their sustainability reporting on different dimensions.
Sustainability reporting, ना?
Yes, sir.
हाँ, तो उसमें ESG वाले इंडिकेटर ही आएंगे और क्या है?
Sir, I was thinking of writing some research paper. So for that, I asked, can I take 10, 12 banks index as a representative sample of commercial banks in India? That was my question.
No, you mean to say the banks which are forming that index? You want to take those banks?
It has nothing to do with the index, sir. I was just asking that can we take up some portion of the banking system, like we have 42 and 12 private and public sector banks, around 60 to 70 banks are there.
Right.
So can I take, I mean, some index, BSE or NSE index, both the sectoral index contains around 10 to 12 banks. So can I take them in my study and analyze their reporting practices to find some results regarding the commercial banks in India? That was my question, sir.
You can do that. You can take the banks in the index, right? Not the index per se.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That you can do.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So many times we look for relations between two variables. For that, we calculate correlation, and we use Pearson's correlation. And if it is positive, we say we have positive correlation, and higher the correlation, we say we have strong correlation or fairly strong correlation between the variables. And to calculate that, do you see any correlation between the midterm marks of a student and the end term marks of the students? So yes, there look to be some correlation between them. And to calculate that, we have inbuilt utility to calculate correlation, that is Corel. So I take so like here we can find out the correlation between midterm marks and end term marks. Sorry.
Sir, you selected C1.
I have selected the name also. Name should not be there. Yes. So about 73% correlation is there, positive correlation. So that indicates students getting good marks in the midterm will also likely to get good marks in the end terms. Okay. And Vibha, your student can also find out is there any relation between the affordability of the electric vehicles and their income.
Okay. If
So
we want
normally those who are having higher income, they can afford to have electrical vehicles.
Okay.
So that correlation they can also find out.
That we are trying to find it out. वो हम सोच भी रहे हैं, but can we apply something regression in this analysis?
Regression में cause and effect की बात आती है, पर cause and effect
cause and effect में तो we
पर
want to
आपको relation
what are
देखना
the-
चाह रहे हो. You want to see only relation.
One thing we want to find out the relation also. Second thing we want to find out what are the various factors which really determine.
Okay, so then income will be one of the factor, right?
Yeah, income will be one of the factor that I want to ask from you. Okay, which other factors we should take into account?
I don't know the complete data of yours. So
Okay.
it depends upon. But yes, you can do the regression also, no problem.
Okay.
So easily you can find out the correlation between them. And do you see any correlation between consumer price index and BSE Sensex? Do you have any belief that says Sensex and inflation both moves together? Graph says yes, there seems to be a correlation between them, and we can calculate their correlation. So I think I can show you here. You can easily do it. So you have the Sensex data, you have the CPI data, and you simply write correlation, CORO. Give the data of the array 1, the Sensex data, and the CPI data, and you will get the correlation. And that the correlation, and it's there is a very high correlation between the inflation and the Sensex.
Sir, what if we have more than 2 variables, 5 or 6 variables?
तो आपको separately calculate करना पड़ेगा उनका, क्योंकि correlation is a pairwise correlation.
Okay, sir.
तो
Sir,
अलग-अलग
Cartesian correlation can also be computed like for all the variables together?
Yes.
Independent
उसके
variables?
लिए हाँ कर सकते हैं. अब जैसे मैं example देता हूँ. Like this is the data we have for the vegetables, right? I want to see the correlation between the prices of all this. So I can get the correlation matrix here. So go to data, data analysis. Here you will find correlation. Okay. So input range is this. My data is my input range. Labels in the first. And you get the correlation matrix. So you can get the correlation matrix of more than 2 variables like this.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And it is symmetrical, so it doesn't give you the upper side, it gives you only the lower side. Okay?
Sir, is it the Carl-Pearson correlation?
Yes, it's Pearson's correlation.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And if you want to establish a correlation, cause and effect relationship between them, for that you have to make use of regression. So in that case, your regression equation will be Sensex, which is my dependent variable, which is my effect. CPI is my independent variable, which is my cause. and I can determine the regression equation. Again, for that, we have to make use of our data analysis tool. In that, you will find you have regression. So my Y is Sensex and my X is CPI. Labels. And that's what we get is my regression result. And my estimated equation is Sensex is equal to, this is my coefficient, minus 32,860.39, plus this is my coefficient, $482.49 CPI. This is my estimated regression equation. Shows positive relation. P-value is almost 0, less than 5%. That means Sensex and CPI, they are having positive significant relation between them. That's how you can establish through regression equation.
Sir, would you please explain multiple regression also?
Yes, I can do that. Just wait. And this I can skip. So how do we estimate a systematic risk of a company or beta of a company? That's, we take Infosys return, Sensex return, which is the market return. And if you regress it, the coefficient of BSE Sensex will give you the beta value for company. And how do we do it? I show you. So we have the share data, this is the return data. So I go to data, data analysis, regression. My Y is Infosys return. My X is Sensex return. Sorry, it is I think I've given it wrongly. This is Y. This is X. This is my beta. So coefficient of Sensex gives me beta of Infosys, which is 7.766. So those who are the students of investment, they can determine the coefficient, beta coefficient of the sample companies by making use of regression. Okay. Now the question is, how can we run multiple regression. So I show you. Let me check if we have the distribution. Okay. So we have the data with us. That's regarding age, weight, and the BP. And we say that BP is a function of age plus weight. That's my multiple regression model, right? So how can I run multiple regression model in Excel? So again, same process, go to data analysis, regression. My Y is BP. And now all the X variables you have to give simultaneously in one range. So your independent variables, they should be together. They should not be at one place and another place and a different place. No, all the independent variables should be together in case if you want to run your regression in Excel. So or take all the X variables in one go. And then you say, okay. And that's what we get.
So can I ask one question?
Just a minute. So my BP is equal to minus 28.04 plus 2.16 of age and 0.48 of weight. That's my estimated regression equation. So you can run multiple regression by using Excel in this particular manner. Yes, please.
Sir, actually, I have done this multiple regression on my data, but my adjusted R square was coming out to be negative and very abrupt figures were coming up. So what could be the possible reasons for negative adjusted R square?
One, your variables are much more than the number of observations.
Okay.
That could be one reason.
Okay, sir.
Second, the variables which you have picked up, they're not proper. So model is not properly defined.
Okay.
So you have to relook at your model.
Sir, if there is one outlier, suppose in age, one bank is having age of 126 SBI. So that can also hamper the results?
Maybe. We have to check.
Sir, in that case, what should we do? Because if
Drop
it is an
it, drop
important
it.
part of our sample.
Drop it.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Because we have no other option. You can't reduce the age of SBI, right? SBI अगर 120 years का है, इलाहाबाद बैंक more than 100 years की है.
बट सर काफी इम्पोर्टेंट बैंक है, उसको लेना था सैंपल में, तो उसकी वजह से भी हो सकता है कि रिजल्ट्स में प्रॉब्लम आ रही है.
देखना पड़ेगा.
सर अगर लॉग लेंगे एज का तो सबके लिए लेना पड़ेगा ना?
हाँ, वो तो फिर सबके लिए लेना पड़ेगा.
ओके सर.
हो सकता है उससे कुछ सोल्यूशन निकल जाए क्योंकि वो डिफ्लेट कर देता है वैल्यूज को ना.
ओके
लॉग में फिर वो इतना ज्यादा डिफरेंस नजर नहीं आएगा.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So friend, I hope you are able to understand whatever we have discussed in this session. If you still have a question, any doubt, you are welcome.
Sir, one query.
Yes.
Sir, in this, could you please show this BP data?
BP तो नहीं हो गया. हाँ. You want
No,
to see
sir.
data?
Input. Sir, if this is an actual problem you are dealing with,
It's
then
hypothetical data.
That means, okay, so because one value of BP is not there, as in, and if it is coming out to be negative, if it is hypothetical data, so that means BP is not BP, it is some assumed variable with one figure.
BP negative तो हो ही नहीं सकता ना.
नहीं सर, मैं यही आपसे कहना चाह रही हूँ.
हाँ.
सर, बीपी का जो मेजर होता है वो दो वैल्यू आती है.
हाँ.
So my सर, अब वो क्या बोलते हैं, सिस्टोलिक एंड. So sir, my query, I have two queries on this. Like first is, I believe then this BP is not BP. This is some such thing which is having a single value.
Right. अच्छा, उस सेंस में ये सब हाइपोथेटिकल डेटा है. ठीक है, तो ये एवरेज भी हो सकता है दोनों का, कुछ भी.
हाँ, so let us say हाँ कि ये कुछ इस तरीके से है.
ये हो सकता है कि जो आपका अपर वाला है वो वैल्यू हो.
So because actually I was thinking it practically on this, like the BP is related to the age and weight also. The same BP measure, depending upon age and weight, you know, it comes in the acceptable range changes. Although the absolute standard is as in 120/80, but that changes. So I have two queries on this count. Like first is, even if we assume that this is some such hypothetical thing, here the alpha is coming out to be negative.
Right.
So that means by default, when age and let us say hypothetically weight is also 0, age is also 0, or whatever, some nominal values there, still the negative by itself, even when it's being 0, there is negative figure. But वो तो मेरे को वो समझ नहीं आ रहा था कि बीपी से करके वो कैसे वो चीज चल रही है. तो आपने उसका जवाब दिया
वो तो इंटरसेप्ट है, उसका कोई मीनिंग नहीं है.
जी जी.
0.08 पे नेगेटिव का कोई मीनिंग ही नहीं है,
वो क्योंकि वो हाइपोथेटिकल है. आपने उसका जवाब दिया.
doesn't exist at all.
हाँ सर, मैं इसको is there any way when supposingly we actually want to go for it, we want to measure the BP and that is having two figures. So how to compute?
वो तो अलग-अलग करना पड़ेगा, दोनों का एवरेज लेके करो. Because dependent variable can be only one.
Okay.
We cannot have two, you know.
Yeah. So, and is there any technique other than this which could be applicable?
For what?
No, for the problem practical problem which I'm posing.
No.
We having two measures.
Two variables are dependent variables.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yes, then you can go for simultaneous equation regression.
Simultaneous equation
regression. So you will have two regression equations which you are simultaneously determining.
Sir, isn't it a part of multiple regression, or what this technique is called?
No, it's a different simultaneous equation.
That is when independent variable is more than one.
No. Dependent is more than one.
Sorry. I'm extremely sorry. Dependent variable is more than one.
Right.
So that this we cannot regress it here on Excel.
No, we cannot do that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Can I say something, sir? So in case of blood pressure, can't we divide them into categories like hypertensive or normotensive, and then try to analyze and get to some conclusion?
Shivani, you can do it. How many categories you want?
So like if we have hypertensive, normotensive, that ways if we try to categorize the patients.
Suppose you divide them into two categories, right?
Yes.
Then you can use logit model.
Absolutely. That's what.
And if you have more than two, then you can use multi-logit model.
Mm-hmm. And also like, as you said, that we can separately see the diastolic blood pressure or the systolic blood pressure, and then try to see how age is related or weight is related. Then also we can do that, I think.
In that case, you have to run two regression model. No?
Absolutely. And we will talk about them separately, like how does it affect the diastolic blood pressure? Or
It might be possible that your upper one is having different impact, impacted differently by age and weight, and the lower one may be differently. Maybe that you have to check.
But sir, I have a query. If we say divide it in two categories, like hypertensive or normal or some such thing, can we apply multiple regression on that?
No, you cannot.
Say 1 or 0. Yeah. So yeah.
I said in that case you have to use logit model because your dependent variable is a binary variable, right?
Yeah. In that case, it becomes a binary variable.
So if there is no other question, that's all from my side. And thank you very much for being with me this session, and wish you all a happy Republic Day, and all the best to all of you. Enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Dr.
sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. That was truly very inspiring and helpful. On behalf of MOHUR, the Commerce Association of Janki Devi Memorial College, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for delivering an informative and insightful webinar. We appreciate your time and efforts in providing a learning experience for the students. We are immensely benefited from your valuable inputs. Thank you for honoring us with your presence. You have motivated us all enough with your knowledge and expertise in every way possible. Looking forward to having you again. With this, we come to the end of this event. Attendance and feedback forms have been shared with you in the chat box. Kindly fill them.
Thank you.
Please hold. Please don't disconnect. Let us see the feedback form.
Yeah, it's sure. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. The feedback form is there. Please fill it up, and we'll wait till everybody logs out,
I think, but the feedback form is only for the students, I believe.
No. It's for everyone, because we are going to give the certificates only on the basis of this attendance and feedback form.
Okay. Because it generally asks about the courses and year.
No, it's for both. It's for the students and the faculty.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Because wherever the options of the classes are there, there is not available also option. So you can.
Okay. So we fill there. Yeah.
Yeah. So because otherwise there will not be any record.
It was put before also, no? Chanchu, it was put before, no? I had filled it.
Yes, it's the same.
Same one. Okay. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, we are surely going to bother you more. Thank you. ठीक है सर, आपसे और पूछना होगा बाद में. Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. I will also bother you. I have already bothered you in previous workshops, sir.
No problem. Sushmani, no problem.
Sir is always there for everyone. Thank you so much, sir, for sparing your very, very valuable time and making this session so useful for everyone, one and all.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.